Hello, and welcome to Getting It Done, a podcast about music, education, and life lessons. I'm your host, Tim Rausenberger. Today is Thursday, May 16th, 2019. This is episode 276, Student Development in Music Education, a Philosophy. Do you know the names Bennett Reimer and David Elliott? Perhaps if you're in high school, you might not recognize those names. And there are even some undergraduate students who may have not come in contact with those two people yet in their studies. But for the accomplished teacher and anyone who has studied music education at the graduate level, we're all too familiar with the philosophies of these two pioneers. Reimer and Elliott both have very, very firm ideas of what music education is all about and how it should be taught. Today, we're going to explore a philosophy, and in this case, it's going to be a hybrid. Ideas of Reimer, ideas of Elliott, and ideas of my own. We're going to discuss aesthetics, learning, values, tradition, and music as an entity. The consummate music educator must have a personal philosophy of music education in order to provide the most complete musical experience for the development of all students. The teacher must understand the psychology behind the capabilities of the children and the best possible ways to maximize their potential. A knowledge of a wide array of personalities is crucial, and the identification of behavior patterns associated with musical development is paramount. Extensive study in developmental psychology and a mastery of content increases the likelihood of success in the music classroom. As a person transitions from childhood to adulthood, there are influences which can have a major impact on the opinions and viewpoints that may be formed in the future. In America, where there is a melting pot, these variables include family, socioeconomic climate, environment, culture, and core values. Similar factors and challenges are found in the world of education, which can be traced to the missions of a school or method by which the student gains knowledge. Similarly, perceptions of music education are formed by the exposure to these elements, as well as the teaching approaches and background of their instructors. Today, we're going to now talk about each of these 5 items and how it relates to that particular statement. Aesthetics. Now, aesthetics, of course, we associate that with Bennett Reimer. And aesthetics allows students to create, share, and gain special meanings as they interpret musical sounds and separate them from ordinary ones. Exposure to musical styles is extremely important, and it's even more important for them to know the different genres of music so they can discern different sounds. So when they're taking in the music, they're able to understand it that much more. We know as musicians, the more music we listen to, the better we are as instructors. Students are going to be aware that classical music presents more options than any form of music if they desire sounds to elicit a calming effect. For children who enjoy creative writing, folk music tends to use many picturesque words that are enhanced by the vocal inflections and timbres of its singers. Think of Vincent by Don McLean and the amazing painting Starry Night. Rock and roll and its many variations have driving, pulsating rhythms which can be employed in sports and other important activities. We look no further than the music of Elvis Presley and all of the different artists he inspired. And then think about the different types of events and when we hear that type of music. Aesthetics are very important. But learning. How do children learn? This is a question that needs to be at the forefront of an educator at all times. Children learn orally and visually, which includes patterns that produce representations. Consider how children model speech. They attempt to formulate the most basic sounds based on what is available to them at that particular time in their life. Infants who spend significant portions of time with their parents are more likely to emulate specific pronunciations and accents, while young children who gain a majority of their diction and vocabulary from the television and social media could grow up with a speaking style truncated in knowledge and void of most affiliation to even their family and members of the community where they grow up. Values. Elliott states, because of the positive musical emotional experiences music listening and music making can arouse and express, music can make major artistic, social, cultural, ethical, economic, and political differences in people's lives. Students must understand the critical value of making good decisions in music and all other areas of life. The quality music educator should always approach instruction with the motto, teacher first, subject area second. My motto, teacher first, music second. Tradition. Tradition is everything. When we think back to the melting pot in America and all of the different heritages and all of the different nationalities, people should be proud of where they came from and their ancestry. Music learned in the oral tradition has been a major component of tribes and nations for thousands of years. You take an unconventional composer like Percy Grainger, who created brilliant masterworks after collecting folk songs via oral tradition while he lived in London during the 1900s. The world has so many cultures and nationalities deeply rooted in tradition, and it's imperative that the students are educated in this area by listening to or listening along with musical examples. Music as an entity. What is music as an entity? Well, Reimer and Elliott, they provide excellent viewpoints about their music and music education. But music as an entity must include secular and sacred music, which of course poses a major problem in public education, because most school districts do not want educators discussing any type of religion in the schools. However, it is very important for the overall development of the child, development of the adult, development of the human being to have a basic understanding of religion. That does not mean that you need to believe in a specific denomination, that you need to believe in any type of scripture, but we need to have an appreciation and an understanding for music as an entity. So sacred music, music that's religious, is important. To know what a mass is. To understand what a requiem is and why the Mozart Requiem is such an amazing work of art. And then to know the place of secular music, non-religious music. So we can compare and contrast the two. After all, if you take a song like Take Me to Church, that song really doesn't have a lot to do with religion, depending on how you listen to it and how you interpret the song. But it also has to do with how much you understand, how much you have learned in your life, not just about music, but just in general. What is your base? Plato and Aristotle both recognize the importance of music and its impact on humans. Music has been and always will be everywhere for aesthetical pleasure. It is also accessible in many praxial forms, as Elliott discusses. It is the responsibility of educators to ensure that students are exposed to its creative, written, and oral qualities. When a teacher or school system is developing a curriculum, religion and the philosophies of Reimer and Elliott should be considered to provide students with a comprehensive music education and a firm foundation to focus on their overall development as musicians.